were first taken to the police station where they, after about 3 hours, took us to the hospital. And we stayed in the hospital for about 5 months or so to make sure that we were okay and that we were ready to go to the orphanage. I was about 7, Katya was about 9, and we went to the orphanage. It was scary because there were a lot of kids and we did not know anybody, and it was hard leaving my parents because I loved my mom, and it was hard being there without family and without a dad and without a mom. Every night my sister and I would pray that we would get adopted.
When we were at the orphanage and one of our friends was adopted to a family, we were excited for them, but I know that I got a little bit jealous when they did. I was happy for them, but I was also sad when they left. It was hard when Anna and Katya left for me. One of the fears I had was that they would forget about me. I mean, I know they were my friends, but it's just something that goes through your head.
We began praying about adoption when our first 3 biological kids were pretty young, and it was something that we would talk about, my husband and I, and we would pray about. In 2006, we were invited to a If You Were Mine conference by the Hope for Orphans put on, and at that time there were a few comments made about Ukraine, and I had to look Ukraine up on a map, but something in that conference and what was said about Ukraine just planted a seed in my heart that God may have some children for us there. And so we began praying about that adoption process and whether we were called to adopt these girls, and the Lord made it clear that we were to pursue them. 9 months later, we found ourselves in Ukraine, in Zhytomyr, Ukraine. When we walked into the orphanage, somebody went and told the girls that we were there, and they came running down the hallway, and they were crying and they were laughing and we were hugging, and they immediately began to introduce us to their friends. And for the next 30 days, we were at the orphanage every day, waiting for the process of all the paperwork and legal work to take place. But we were there every day, just spending time with the kids, and we just fell in love with these children. And what we noticed was that they were just longing for someone to see them, to notice their back handspring or their artwork. We knew going into adopting our girls that it was not going to be an easy road. There were many challenges. The first few months home were very hard. It took a lot of prayer and a lot of work and a lot of talks and a lot of discipline during those first, really during the first year. We saw a lot take place, and one day it's like we could look back over that first year and see how far they'd come, because when we were in the middle of it, it seemed overwhelming. But we also saw the Lord heal their hearts in ways that can only be explained by Him, and the deep pain and the things that they had faced, we saw the Lord just really begin to heal those places, to help them walk through forgiveness, and that He had been working in their lives. And we began to identify ways that the Lord had been working in their lives long before we had ever met them, and ways He had protected them. And they began to see that, and we began to see that, and pieces of their story began to be made clear to us, and we were able to walk through that with our girls. It was just a really special time, a very intense emotional time, but also a very special time to see what the Lord was doing in their hearts.